Welcome to the Global Wellness HQ family of podcasts. We are your international headquarters for resources and ideas and insight in relation to the 9 elements of holistic wellness. Join us as we interview local and international wellness experts and learn how you can implement and improve one element or dimension of wellness at a time. Our experts will share their practical tips on wellness in one of these core areas: emotional, intellectual, occupational, physical, environmental, financial, spiritual, social, or habitual. We created our family of podcasts as a resource for anyone who is looking to integrate the 9 elements of holistic wellness into their daily lives. Welcome to the show. The Global Wellness HQ family of podcasts is proudly sponsored by the Global Wellness HQ community. It's an online membership group where we meet, we share ideas, we share insights, and we all work together and help one another discover our own personal wellness journeys. If you'd like to join us, you can easily click the link below or scan the QR code, and we love hearing your stories. So we hope to see you in the community. Hi, everyone. I have Evan on the show today. And Evan, I'm going to get this wrong, but he is a chess fanatic. Evan, why don't you introduce yourself and tell us a little bit about how you got into chess?
Yes, well, for one, thank you so much for having me. I know we met recently through give a little shout out to the In This Together roundtable. Great networking group, and
Absolutely.
it's great to connect. So, my name is Evan Rabin. I'm a national chess master and owner of Premier Chess. I've been playing chess pretty much most of my life since I was 7. I've taught on and off since I was 12. I made master when I was 20 and have been running Premier Chess since 2017. Since then, we partnered with over 100 schools. We partnered with several major corporations like Google and Citigroup, the law firm Kramer 11, many other companies as well. And we love teaching business and life lessons through the game of chess.
Love it. So, how does one become a grandmaster?
So for one, I do like to clarify I'm a national master rather than a grandmaster.
Oh, national master. Okay. See, I knew I'd get that wrong.
All good, and it's funny. I'm not going to name names, but I do know a couple of people in the chess world who somewhat take advantage of non-chess players not knowing what they're talking about. And they're just like, "Oh, I'm a grandmaster." Well, we do actually have one Grandmaster Mark Paragua, who works for us and is very much available for lessons. But no, I'm a national master. So but I'll answer both questions at the same time since you asked. So to put things into perspective, for one, national master is basically in the top 2%, or actually I think 1.5% of rated chess players in the country. Basically, you get your rating up to 2200, and you become a master. Grandmaster is actually on a different rating system altogether, the FIDE, the international body, and basically need to get a 2500 rating plus 3 norms, which are very high performance ratings in tournaments of 9 rounds or more. So that's kind of a Spark Note version. There's a lot more to it, but but to put things into perspective, there's, from what I've heard, about 3,000 national masters in the country, and there's about 3,000 grandmasters in the world. So it's substantial. So put it this way, I do have quite a ways to go to make a master. If I and by the way, there's many steps in between. I'm a national master. Kind of my next logical stop would be FIDE master, which is the lowest international title you could get. Then you could become an international master, and then finally become a grandmaster. So that's kind of a Spark Note version of how titles work.
Very cool. So you spend a lot of time around chess. Let's leave it at that, right?
Yeah, I mean, it's more than a full-time business, running all of our programs. We also have 55 instructors who work with us, quickly growing. Now is actually the time where we're getting ready for the new school year. Also hiring a fair amount, for the fall. And, yeah, no, definitely lots going on. And, happened to, become a dad the other day as well. So, definitely a lot going on.
Well, first of all, congratulations on being a dad for the first time. That is a great place to be, and it's my favorite age is every day. They get more fun and more interesting. So enjoy that little journey with your new baby. Now let's talk about your business. So first of all, I love the fact that you've dedicated so much time to becoming better at chess.
Mhm,
I'm working on in my brain a a ranking system for networking because I
hmm,
think it would be interesting to know who you're networking with. Now, the difference between chess and networking obviously is I can't beat somebody at networking. I don't want to beat them, but there's a way to rank because I think it's useful to know, as you said, chess players take advantage of people who don't know the lingo. I think that's very much an analogy for networking. You get some really
hmm.
good ones, some really not so good ones. How did you start your business, and how did chess go from being a game, which I know it's way more than a game, but how did it go from being
Mhm.
a game to being your livelihood?
Yeah, good question. So, for one, I do, on my own podcast, I've had people like Ivan Meisner, okay, who I'm sure you heard of, right? He's the
Yes.
godfather of networking, literally. What I like to call, anyway,
Yep.
started BNI, which has now 200,000 people around the world, if not more. Actually, I think definitely a little bit more than that. So, but yeah, the point is, I think, look, if you're smart, yes, there is a lot of analytics and stuff actually when it comes to networking. People are not as smart about it. My good friend Graham Dobbin is a networking coach, among many other things. And one thing he told me once actually was there are 300 or so networking events in Manhattan alone every single week. So, in the past, people would be like, "Oh, have you checked out this group? Have you checked out that group?" And I'm like, "No, can't hurt. Let's go." Right. And it got to a point where I would spend literally a whole week going to events, barely following up with everyone and wondering why I wasn't getting, any results.
Yeah.
So it's very important to be, actually strategic about networking, um, and whatnot. So, um, to yeah, to go back and answer your question, how did Premier Chess start and everything? For one, in the back of my mind, chess was uh definitely something I always, considered. Obviously, both professionally and as a hobby. Um, when I graduated Brandeis in 2012, I did actually apply to a lot of sales jobs, recruiting jobs, a little bit of finance jobs, other jobs as well. Um, Honestly struggled a little bit more than I thought I would. Eventually, I accepted a job with Chess in the Schools, working full time for a nonprofit in New York. But honestly, that was sort of my backup if I didn't get a more corporate job. And eventually, I started there, loved it. But it really wasn't what I wanted to do, sort of full time. And actually, my grandmother and grandfather, my grandmother uh, is living today. We, obviously are very, very close. But she actually was very direct. I thank God had the very, very fortunate possibility of getting college paid for by my grandparents. But she straight up told me, and my grandfather straight up told me, we didn't pay for Brandeis for you to go teach chess full time. Yeah, and I was like, okay, wow. So, I kept looking and got a job at Oracle where I really started my corporate career. I was there for a few years. Then I was there at Rapid7, a data security company in Boston. And then actually with a couple of business partners, I actually started a different business, Pillar Sales, which did sales for startups.
Okay.
At the time, I was teaching chess part time, just to basically pay the bills while the other business got off the ground. And basically, after a year of Pillar Sales, it was a lot of fun, but frankly, not as lucrative as we would have liked. And I was frankly going into my savings a decent amount. And I started to think, do I, get another sales job? Do I, try this for a little longer, see how it goes? What do I do? And I remember I was 2017, trying to figure things out. I did actually start interviewing a little bit, but I really didn't particularly want to go back into corporate. I like the lifestyle of, being on my own. And literally in July of 2017, I said, I'm going to sell chess for 2 months and see what happens. If it works out and I build a chess business, great. And I remember I even asked my grandmother, I was like, is this okay? I know you don't want me to like teach chess. And he was like, no, I'm more than happy for you to teach chess. I didn't want you teaching chess for other people. I want you to start your
Ah,
own company. And
wise, yes.
and anyone who's close to me knows I listen to my grandma more than anyone. um, and so I did. I sold chess for 2 months, and before I knew it, we were in 14 schools, and had 10 instructors working for me, literally just within 2 months. In the beginning of the school year, 2017, and yeah, we just really kept going. One of our big clients, for instance, Grace Church School. The former headmaster now, actually, he retired 2 years ago, or yeah, a little over a year ago at the beginning of this past school year. And actually his son went to kindergarten with me. So I had a connection there, and yeah, ended up being, one of our bigger, or by far actually our biggest client. Um, since then we have one other client, which is actually slightly bigger, but they're still one of our main clients. So yeah, it's been a great ride since, and we're continuing to grow all the time.
Well, I'm just gonna say you mentioned you have 55 instructors. I'm guessing their grandmother hasn't told them the same advice you got, so I'm glad to hear that. So if any of your instructors are listening, that was different, right?
Yeah, and look, it's interesting you say that. About question. And I'll say a couple things about that. For one, I'm actually full in favor of my instructors going on their own a little bit too. A lot of them have before they started working with me. Just actually in the last few weeks, I've given advice to two instructors about two programs they're looking to bring on their own. So not trying to get a cut or anything like that. So of course they do sign and client sign, non-soliciting, kind of things. So it's, if it's our lead, then yes, it's done through us. But yeah, I mean, like one of our instructors, for instance, through forget what his connection was actually, but he's now talking to a school nearby him, and he's been asking for some advice, and I'm all in favor of it. That said, one issue I actually have with a lot of people when it comes to education is they actually don't see the value of networking in general, actually. So
Well,
um
honestly, I wish it was taught in high school, let alone, and maybe that's, we'll have a combo chess networking club or something. Um, the reality is networking can solve all kinds of challenges, but it can also open doors. Um, Now, I want to talk a little bit more about chess because I think it fascinates me that it is a game, and that's where it's categorized in the minds of most people.
Sure.
So you're talking to my audience listening. They're probably most of them have kids. Let's talk to that parent for a moment, and what life skills are they getting out of chess?
Yeah, so for one, we do teach truly all ages. We've been in senior citizen, kind of places. We've worked with like Goddard, Riverside, we've worked with Village Care, some other facilities as well. We've worked in a lot of preschools, and we work, with a lot of, companies, like Prime 11, Google, Citigroup. So, for one, sure, I'm a little biased, but I really am a big proponent that no matter what age you are, there are like a lot that you can learn through the game. So a lot of it is decision making, um, being able to think on your feet. A lot of it is judgment training, learning how to plan, learning how to be a little bit, creative, but also learn, at the same time. Often students, for instance, will see a position, where they've seen, similar positions and just kind of like automatically make a move because it's, somewhat thematic, but really they need to learn how to, think on their feet and realize that there are, some nuances in the position. Um, and then, yeah, I mean, of course, it also just teaches you, important life skills about, winning and losing, things like that. Um, yeah, there's quite a bit. And then, of course, depending on, your industry and whatnot, there's also like different lessons. So for instance, and when we talk to finance folks, we're talking about mitigating risk versus, actually taking risks, right? High risk, high reward.
I love that, and I think it's learning how to think and learning how to strategize. Um, my my chess experience, I grew up in a farm, so and pre-internet, if you can imagine. I learned how to play chess from an encyclopedia. That was
Wow.
and I'd never had anybody around, so I actually grew up. I was 10 or 11, and I'd play games in my head, and so when I had kids, that was the first thing. It was we started with the checkers, and then at some point it was like I think my kids were probably 3 or 4 when they started playing with the chess pieces, and now it's fun to watch them play, and it's definitely from my point of view, it's fun because we have like days, and um my oldest is 14, and just to give you this little heads up, when you have your daughter, you're probably going to raise her around chess. um I'm getting to the point where he's going to beat me soon, and I'll never beat him again. And it's kind of a bittersweet moment because I'm excited that he's gotten that good at it, but it's also I won't be able to play with him because, we'll play, but the outcome is going to be known at the beginning. But it is fun to watch them grow and watch them think. So I assume your daughter will grow up in the world of chess, but I guess that's up to her more than you think it is. But
No, definitely. I have many, just friends, obviously, with kids. Some are into it, some are not. Actually, a friend my age who's the son of a grandmaster. I know him and his dad, and actually his mom and his brother quite well. They're all a chess family. Um, and yeah, I mean, for many years, right? I thought like, why is he not like? And he was into chess like when we were actually young, and then basically when we were around middle school or so, he, somewhat lost it. He's professionally actually still very much in chess, but when it comes to playing, he doesn't really play much anymore, maybe online a little bit or whatnot, but no tournaments. And I always thought like, wow, if my dad was a grandmaster, like for sure I would have taken better, much more advantage of that. And for him it just it wasn't a priority, so look, it's the kind of thing that yes, I sincerely hope our daughter Maya will be a master one day, or at least into chess. But the last thing we want to do is force it on her. So
Yeah.
we'll see.
Well, and that's what I did with mine. I let them discover it, and when they asked for more, then we went down that road. Um, but that's the thing I would love to see more schools. We have all this focus on all of the athletics and things like that. Um, there's a quieter type of student who would benefit from a chess club, for example. So if
And by
for
the
the
way, I
young,
know plenty of chess players who are also big athletes. One person who comes to mind is Grandmaster Robert Hess, who is a grandmaster, obviously. I've known him since he was 6 and I was 8 or so. But he was part of the Stuyvesant High School football team, as well. So
love it. And
I've heard.
again, I look at it more from the introvert extrovert rather than the athletic academic. But I know there are introverts out there who would love to have a quiet place to go, during the day. And I think a chess club to me feels like a really good place for them to fit. And I expect the extroverts they'll fit in anyways. But I'm always looking at things. I have two introverts for sons, so it's always the quieter groups that they, and again, they can go out and play sports, but at lunchtime or break time, they want something quiet. So if I'm a principal or a teacher, how do I bring chess into the school? What does that look like working with Premier Chess?
Yeah, very good question. So for one, we do work with schools, both in person and virtually all around the country, preschool all the way to high school. And actually all of our programs are pretty much 100% customizable. We do a lot of curriculum classes during the day. We do a lot of electives during the day. We do after school programs. We do a lot of professional development. We do a lot of coaching and tournaments. So yeah, it all really varies. Based on the school's interests, any prior chess they might have had, levels, things like that. So yeah, usually we start with sort of a discovery call to figure out what your goals and interests are, and then we sort of move forward from there. So yeah, if anyone's interested in exploring opportunities, would definitely love to hear from you. And we could definitely set up some time to talk. And I don't know exactly when this is coming out, but around now is actually the perfect time to start planning for the new year. And if you do want like a serious chess program, it is the type of thing that for one should be planned around now, and should start as early as possible in the school year. Chess is not a seasonal activity. It's the kind of thing that needs to be year round, essentially. And yeah, one thing to sort of consider actually is the more chess you do, the better. So schools will often tell me, how many hours a week should we do, things like that. But the truth is, there's no real answer. It's the more is better, So the schools that are super serious about chess, no, it's not a 1 hour a week, kind of thing.
Now, that begs the question: what are these schools who are heavily invested in chess? What are they looking to get from it? Is it the pennants and the banners and the accolades, or is it just they know it's really good for the students?
Yeah, it's a very good question. So look, a lot of factors, for one. And yeah, actually one common question that I actually like asking, when schools or principals will tell me, oh, how many hours a week of chess should I do? When they do ask me that, my first usual response actually is, what are your goals? If you're looking to post on your flyer that you run a chess program, then 1 hour a week is more than enough, right? Because you could run a program 1 hour a week and call it a chess program.
Once a month,
Um,
whatever, you're checking that box, right?
if you're looking to check the box, I mean, at minimum, we don't like, very occasionally I'll get requests, hey, could we do like a chess class like every other week or something like that? We just don't sign contracts like that because it's a waste of time and money for everybody. Frankly. But yeah, I mean, look, again, ideally it should be more. If you want to actually develop a chess program, again, it takes more. Frankly, we do have some schools that we partner with where we've been there for several years, 1 hour a week. And look, a handful of kids in those schools have started coming to tournaments, making progress, things like that. But we haven't really developed that much of a tournament culture. And we have other schools where we've started only recently, in the last few months, where we're there a little bit longer, and even just a little bit more than an hour. PS 101, for instance, is one of our new schools this year. Uh, Very big program with 55 kids there with 7 instructors in Forest Hills, Queens. And we do, yeah, 90 minutes a week there. Um, Even that, right, not nearly as much as we would like per se, but it's definitely a great start. And in 90 minutes, yeah, now we have several kids from that school coming to tournaments. So in terms of why are they doing it? Definitely a lot of factors. One, like you said, on the brochure, they run a chess program. It's great. But more importantly, they're building a tournament culture. They're building a name for their school. Um, right. By the way, we don't make tournaments required, for any school. You actually had a private student recently asked me, like, do I have to go to the tournament, next week? And I said, no, you absolutely don't. But at the same time, if you want to like, really get the benefit of chess the most, then yes, you absolutely should go to if not this tournament, another one soon. I actually related it to you probably wouldn't spend several hours studying for a test and then not take the test.
Never
You know,
write the test. Yeah.
it wouldn't make sense. So yeah, that's definitely one idea. And then also, yes, on an individual level, my actually colleague and friend, Alewa Gibson, who is actually the director at teaching at one of our bigger programs, New American Academy, which has had probably more kids than, well, for sure, more kids than most of our schools coming to tournaments. And she's actually doing her doctorate right now. She was on my podcast as well, actually, maybe about a year ago now. And she's actually seen like literally a direct correlation of chess and kids doing higher on their test scores. Um,
Wow.
so um, yeah, there's definitely that element as well.
Now, I'm going to ask a very strange and random question, but you have instructors across the country. Is your program mostly virtual, or is there an in-person, or what does it look like in terms of, bringing Evan and the crew at Premier Chess into a school?
Yeah, so most of our programs are definitely in person. Obviously the pandemic, I hate that word, but in the pandemic things were mostly in person. I'm mostly virtual, of course, but yeah, things are mostly back in person. So yeah, we do have instructors in New York, Illinois, Chicago, Illinois, Boston, Miami, LA, Austin, Texas, pretty much most major cities in the country and beyond. Um, so yeah, pretty much wherever you are, we typically have someone.
Awesome. Now, I'm going to ask something slightly different because I deal with a lot of entrepreneurs who are, that sandwich generation. They've got kids, but they've also got parents. Let's talk about the benefits of chess for the seniors. You'd mentioned that you sort of have the whole age range.
Mhm.
Is there such a thing as it's too late to learn how to play chess?
So definitely not. I've actually once, for instance, had the pleasure of teaching a Holocaust survivor chess for the first time. Um, which was just absolutely incredible. Actually, now that I think about it, actually, I taught two Holocaust survivors chess uh, for the first time in their like 80s/90s.
Yeah.
So for sure. Um, Look, I really don't think it's ever too late. Look, admittedly, like most other things, it's definitely better to learn earlier, of course. And by the way, that so basically on both sides of the spectrum, there's misconceptions. I had, recently parents said, "No, there's no way my kid could learn. He's 5." But no, we do teach in a lot of preschools, where kids are 3 learning chess. I've already thought about it quite a bit. I mean, her first day of birth, I told Maya what a pawn was. But no, like realistically, like, no, I think around 2.5, I'm gonna start to like try to teach her a little bit, here and there. But going back to seniors, yes, like earlier the better, no question about it. Um, you know, realistically, could a senior like just pick up chess and become a master? I don't know. Like I do know, for instance, this guy Fred Wilson who made master at 72. That said, he already was. I mean, don't get me wrong, it was still very impressive. He made a lot of progress. He got over like the 2200 barrier then. But yes, for many years before that, he was in the 2100. So it wasn't like he just started from scratch and made master. But could a senior become from complete beginner to like an intermediate player? 100%. Of course. So, no, definitely not too late. And in terms of benefits, a lot of it is memory retention. There has been research, talking about chess and Alzheimer's and how it could help prevent it. I'm definitely not going to try to make a claim that it prevents it. Yeah.
Well,
But
I,
there has been some research, where it does help, memory, and also just keeps them active, their mind sharp, something to do, of course. So yeah, we've had a lot of success, working with seniors. We actually have a very interesting program with the Rote, a Jewish nonprofit that deals with seniors, where we actually facilitate high school students and seniors working together.
oh,
It's
nice.
very, kind of community building program as well.
And I think that's the piece I would bring out for the seniors is that there's that social component, and it's a non stress variety. You can sit down with your grandkids and have a conversation. It's not, it's kind of a unifying factor because you can talk about the pieces and you can talk about the game and things like that. um so let's get into, how can somebody connect with you and learn more about what you do, and maybe about bringing in premier chess to their school or community.
Thank you. So yeah, like I said, we do pretty much three main verticals. We do corporate classes, we do school programs, and we do a lot of private lessons. We also do camps, tournaments. This summer, for the third time, actually, we're doing chess and table tennis camp in Manhattan, together with the American Youth Table Tennis uh, Association. Um, and yeah, people want to connect, either organizations or individuals. You could definitely go to premierchess.com, or you could certainly email us as well, evan@premierchess.com.
Awesome. Well, Evan, you are the expert at chess. So, is there anything I should have asked you that I haven't asked you?
Um, Not particularly. The one thing I do like to say is, just like anything else, now is the time to get started. Honestly, right? I've talked at length many times to my good friend Mike Papapavlou, the founder of Guitar Guide Guru, who runs a guitar teaching business and actually now other instruments as well, with instructors working with him. But one thing that we've talked a lot about is, just look, everyone says, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do that, when the time is right. But the time will never be right. So, and I used to actually be into guitar many years ago, and among many other reasons, part of the reason Mike and I actually did become very close friends, in addition to just networking friends, is he did inspire me a little bit to actually get back into guitar. He taught me a little bit, and inspired me. Um, so yeah, I do think just now's the time to do it. And also it's not too late. I taught a Holocaust survivor chess. One of my somewhat pet peeves when dealing with parents sometimes, or just adults, is wow, I really wish I got into this as a kid,
Yeah.
or something like that. Again, completely objectively, yes, it's easier to improve, in chess as a kid. Part of the reason I go to tournaments today, and honestly, and this is something that's, I would say, pretty much across the board, adults would prefer to play other adults than kids.
Nobody
And
wants to be beaten by a 5-year-old.
but it's not even that, it's just more the chance that a kid is like a little bit underrated is by far bigger than the chance that an adult is, underrated, right? They might be a little bit, they might study a bit, but the truth is, right now, most adults are pretty much around their established strength. Maybe a little higher, maybe a little lower, but no, more or less around there. But with the kid, you truly don't know necessarily what you're getting. So that's one important element. But yeah, like at the same time though, right? Wherever you are, just get started. And then also, once you do get started, especially nowadays in the last couple of years with Queen's Gambit and many other things, there's a lot of people who have literally like never played a game over the board. Um, which is something that I never, before 2020, I never even like barely heard the term over the board, right? Because it was just was an overboard activity. Yes, people play it online, but it was not a replacement for like in person.
Yeah.
So yeah, I definitely think building the community is important, and playing online is great. I look, rarely is there a day where I don't play at least one game online. But I definitely make it a point to go out and play as well, in person. I think that's important, and that's where you build the community.
Yeah.
At our wedding last year, a lot of my good friends there were just friends that I've known for most of my life. So, um, and that's also, by the way, to actually answer one of your questions that you asked towards the beginning, that's partially how I started the company as well. When I did hire 14, uh, no, we're in 14 schools, we had 10 instructors, in the first 2 months. Most of them were people I've known for quite some time. One of our initial, he actually doesn't work for us now. He just actually graduated medical school and is in residency, but Jerron Bryant, I've known him for, since I think he was about like 7. And his father actually is even actually still a chess coach in New York. So, So yeah, him and his twin I've known, since then pretty much. And yeah, I mean it's crazy, to see that like he was actually at SUNY Binghamton at the time, working for me, and now he's a doctor, so
Wow.
just show you like a little bit of how much time has went on with the company.
Your results may vary. We're not guaranteeing you'll become a doctor, but chess does help. So,
Yeah.
Evan, I want to thank you for being on the show. It's always fascinating, and I'm very lucky because I get to meet cool people with cool stories. So, thank you for sharing the premier chess story with me and my listeners today.
Yeah, well, thank you so much for your time, and my absolute pleasure. And as we say, conquer the game, master your life.
I love it. Thank you for taking the time to listen to our show. We hope that you enjoyed this episode, and we invite you to either click the link below or scan the QR code to register and listen to other episodes of our podcast. Or if you think your business or you would be a great guest to be on our show, we're always looking for experts in one of the 9 elements of holistic wellness. We'd love to have you. You can either click the link below or you can scan the QR code and complete our speaker intake form. Thank you, and to your wellness.